What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the stimulus package update, money, investing, the stock market, pretty much everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is setting up a vote today on the debt limit ceiling. We're going to talk about what needs to happen to prevent the country and the United States government from a first ever default, which is catastrophic, and we cannot have that happen. They say, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, even the president says that payments to Social Security, the child tax credit, those monthly stimulus checks that are going out to 65 million children, and pretty much any money coming from the government, payments to bonds, payments to the military, servicemen, government jobs, anything to any type of money coming from the government could be at risk if the government defaults, which the estimated date for that is October 18th, which is now 12 days away. They need to pass a bill before that, so basically 11 days away or less. We're going to talk about that as well as the next stimulus package, of which Senator Joe Manchin has changed his mind. Major news on that front as well. Stimulus package, the debt limit ceiling. We got a lot going on here in this video. So if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. Okay, here's what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has to say about the debt limit ceiling. Remember, if they don't pass this bill here within the next 7 to 10 days, we will have a first ever government default. Remember, a government default basically means the government will run out of money. We have never had this happen before. This is different than a government shutdown, which they actually averted. The government, or the Republicans and the Democrats, actually came to a agreement on that before October 1st. They passed a bill to avert a government shutdown. But a government default would mean the country would literally run out of money. Here's what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has to say.
Look, we all know that Senate Republicans have manufactured a crisis that threatens to plunge our economy back into recession. We do not have the luxury of using a drawn-out, convoluted, and risky process. We could prevent a catastrophic default with a simple majority vote tomorrow. If Republicans would just get out of the damn way, we could get this all done. We're not asking them to vote yes, just get out of the way. I filed cloture on the House message that provides for a suspension of the debt ceiling until December of 2022. The Senate will hold that vote tomorrow, and once again, every senator will face a choice. We can stop this Republican-manufactured debt ceiling crisis in its tracks, or Republicans can keep driving our country ever closer to the first default in American history. It's so irresponsible, and unfortunately, sadly, and confoundingly, too many Republicans seem proud of this moment where they're pushing us to the edge of default and possible downgrade. Even now, the credit rating agencies are saying there's a possibility of downgrade way before the 18th, which would cost American consumers, American businesses, the American economy a lot. After the last downgrade, there were lasting effects for years. If Republicans want to vote no tomorrow, if they want to really be the party of default, that's their choice. We have an easy way out of this crisis, a simple majority vote. They can all vote no. Let them just get out of the way and let us have the vote.
Now, he said tomorrow in that video, but that video was from yesterday night. The vote is actually today on Wednesday. So they will be voting here today on Wednesday. And all that needs to happen to actually get this vote to pass in the Senate is for the Republicans can actually vote no on this. So all the Republicans can vote no, still pass this bill. All they need to do is to grant unanimous consent to the Democrats. So all the Republicans can vote no. They can grant unanimous consent to the Democrats. Then the Democrats can pass this bill with just the 50 to 51 votes. All 50 Democrats would vote yes. All 50 Republicans can vote no and stand their political ground. this has just turned into a big political battle. We've actually had this before. The Democrats have done this to the Republicans in the past. In fact, Joe Biden, when President Joe Biden, back when he was Senator Joe Biden, has done this to the Republicans in the past. But the Democrats let the Republicans raise the debt limit ceiling through unanimous consent in the past. But last week, the Republicans blocked the vote for unanimous consent. So when Senator Joe Biden, when they voted no on the debt limit ceiling in the past, again, this has just turned into a huge partisan battle. Democrats versus Republicans, Republicans versus Democrats. Democrats did allow the Republicans to raise the debt limit ceiling in the past through unanimous consent. So I think that's what they should allow to do, because remember, we have to raise the debt limit ceiling or else the country will default. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, and the Democrats are saying, oh, well, they raised the debt limit ceiling 3 times under former President Donald Trump, and Trump added more debt to the national debt than anybody. He added almost $8 trillion to the national debt, which is over 25% of the national debt that has been added to the debt ever. There's $28.5 trillion to the debt, and former President Trump added almost $8 trillion of the whole amount that has been there for 200 years, over 25% of it. So Democrats are blaming Republicans, Republicans are blaming Democrats, and that's why more and more people are saying they need to just get rid of this debt limit in its entirety, because it's really something that has just turned into a political battle. And Democrats use it against Republicans, Republicans just going to use it against Democrats, and it really should just be gotten rid of. Because remember, all bills have to be approved through Congress anyways in the first place. And then they have this artificial debt limit, which we're the only country in the world that has this artificial debt limit to begin with. And in essence, it could cause our country default, could prevent Social Security payments from going out, child tax credit payments from going out, and the full faith and credit of the United States could be at risk. Now, President Biden said yesterday that a real possibility that the Democrats might change the Senate rules for the debt hike. That's right. And that the Senate Democrats have floated a filibuster carve-out for the debt ceiling, that they might change the rules to make it that you might only need, going forward, just 50 to 51 votes instead of 60 votes for a debt limit ceiling raise. So right now, for example, you only need 51 votes in the Senate to elect a Supreme Court judge, or to elect a judge. They're also saying they might make an exception for this for the debt limit to prevent this from happening in the future, so that whatever party is in the majority could just raise the debt limit, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. Because remember, they've raised the debt limit 60 times in the last 80 years. It's something that has to be done every 1 to 2 years, whether you're Republican or Democrat. It just has to be done, because if you don't, the country defaults. Can't have that happen. So there's a multiple different things that could happen, but we are going to have a vote later today, and the Republicans could just allow this vote to happen, and the Republicans don't even need to vote yes, so they could still hold their political ground and just grant unanimous consent. The other question that begs to be answered is, since the New York Times asks here, what does Mitch McConnell want in the debt ceiling standoff? Mitch McConnell has so far not yet asked for anything in return for the Republicans to allow the Democrats to raise the debt ceiling, and for the Republicans to grant them the opportunity to have the Republicans allow them the unanimous consent to do this. Because I think it's growing more and more apparent that the Republicans, or that the Democrats, will not have the time to do this through the reconciliation process. So what does Mitch McConnell want in the debt ceiling standoff? Well, as of right now, Mitch McConnell has not said he wants anything, but I think that he'll probably want something. So what do you think it will be? Do you think Mitch McConnell and the Republicans thereby will demand something in these negotiations? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think there'll be a demand that there'll be a last minute negotiations and Mitch McConnell will say, listen, we'll let you pass the debt limit ceiling. We'll give you the unanimous consent, but you have to give us something in return. And what would it be? Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you'll guess correctly. I have a few thoughts on what I think it could be, but I won't spoil it for you. I'll let you guess. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. See if you can guess correctly. Next up, Senator Joe Manchin, who a thorn in the side of the Democrats, quickly becoming a Republican favorite, a dino, as a lot of people on our show would say in the comments, a Democrat in name only, has apparently changed his mind on the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, which apparently is no longer $3.5 trillion. Senator Joe Manchin was previously saying that $1.5 trillion was his top line limit on the $3.5 trillion. And that had a lot of progressive Democrats very uneasy because that was, well, less than half of the $3.5 trillion. And his battle with the progressive Democrats was not going very well. Senator Bernie Sanders did not like that very well. AOC did not like that. Pramila Jayapal did not like that. And $1.5 trillion had all the Democrats, well, besides him, saying that was way too low. Now apparently he's changed his mind. Joe Manchin is now saying that he's opened the door and is welcoming a dollar amount of 1.9 trillion to 2.2 trillion. 2.2 trillion would be about 50% more than his $1.5 trillion. If you take about 50% of $1.5 trillion, that would be about $750,000, or $750 million, and add it to the 1.5 trillion, you would have about $2.2 trillion there. So apparently, Senator Joe Manchin has increased his offer by about 50%. Not a bad increase in just a matter of days. He's gone from 1.5 trillion to a range of 1.9 to 2.2. Now let's be honest, if you're willing to do 1.9 to 2.2 in a negotiations, that pretty much means you'd probably do $2.2 trillion. So I mean, who knows? I mean, let's be honest here. If you're in a negotiation and someone says, "Well, I'd do anywhere from 1.9 to 2.2 trillion dollars," and you're over here saying, "All right, cool, 2.2 trillion." I mean, obviously you're going to take their highest number and run with that. So Joe Manchin has pretty much kind of verbally agreed to $2.2 trillion. So the question is, can they get him higher? I mean, literally, just like that, he went from 1.5 to 2.2. Will the other Democrats be okay with this? Well, Pramila Jayapal, the leader of the Progressive Democratic Caucus, she's still trying to get more out of him because remember, they do need Senator Joe Manchin to come on board and Kyrsten Sinema. The White House said last week that they think Kyrsten Sinema is on board. Of course, she just had a bathroom scuffle, to say the least. She had a set of protesters confront her in the bathroom. If you seen that video, go check it out on my channel. It's just a few videos back. You'll see the thumbnail says something like Kyrsten Sinema got ambushed, to say the least, literally in the bathroom, got ambushed by protesters. But Joe Manchin says he's willing to go 1.9 to 2.2, but Pramila Jayapal, leader of the Progressive Caucus in the House, which is like 100 Democrats, she's saying, well, she wants to do 2.5 to 2.9 trillion. So Yeah. Now the question is going to be, once they come to a number here, what will be in the bills? That'll be an interesting part. Which kind of brings us back to our stimulus list here. Okay. Now, one of the things on the chopping block a little bit here is our child tax credit, those monthly stimulus checks that were passed from the third stimulus check package. Yeah, so remember that those are from the third stimulus check package, the stimulus provision. They're $250 to $300 per month per child. $300 per month for children under the age of 6, 5 and under. Children 6 through 17 are $250 per month. You also can get a one-time $500 stimulus check for children. What is it? It's 18 or 19 and over that are full-time college students and live at home. So don't forget to look into that. You claim that on your taxes. So this year's taxes, which you can't claim yet. But when you do this year's taxes, if you have a, say, 19-year-old who's a full-time college student, don't forget you can claim them on your taxes and get a $500 one-time child tax credit. Now, one time doesn't mean that maybe it could be per year, because remember that right now the child tax credits are only for just this 1 year, or these monthly checks are. They might extend that, and there might be a $500 per year. We don't know yet because they haven't passed the bill yet. Okay. But these child tax credits are kind of on the chopping block because we don't know what's going to happen with these monthly checks. Okay. They want to extend them till 2025, but now that the bill is going to be potentially shortened into the $2 trillion range instead of 3.5 trillion, they're saying, well, they might be extended until 2024 or 2023 or 2022. Remember, 2022 would only be 1 year. That's next year. So 2022 would be 1 year. 2023 would be 2 years. 2024 would be 3 years. So the question is, how many years are they going to extend it to? They might lower the income thresholds. They might put a work requirement on there. That's one thing that Senator Joe Manchin wants to do there. Lots of different things there that are up on the block there for the child tax credit. Lots of changes could be there. I'll keep you up to date on that. Medicare expansion for seniors. Yeah, that's a huge thing that seniors are going to be getting here. Um, Hearing, dental, vision, hearing aids, dentures, all sorts of things there, as well as lower the Medicare eligibility age to age 60. That's still in the package. They want to do that. Some of these things are not going to kick in right away, and some are going to kick in starting on January 1st, or I'm sorry, next year. We don't really know all the details of this stuff yet because, well, we don't have the bill yet. The other thing is, well, they have to pass the bill. Okay. The other thing I want to mention here is that they can add a forced stimulus check on top of the child tax credits, those monthly stimulus checks for children, which 65 million children get them. They can add a forced stimulus check on top of that for adults, not include any children because, well, children are already getting the child tax credits. So they could not include any children. Remember the third stimulus check package had the child tax credits and it had $1,400 stimulus checks in there. They could include a forced stimulus check on top of that, not have an additional stimulus check in there for children. Okay. So exclude an additional stimulus check in there. Have it for low and middle income adults. So let's just say we have and I'm just throwing numbers around here. Let's just say we have a cutoff at $50,000, $75,000, like that. Not have an additional stimulus check in there for children. Children are already taken care of. They could do that for as low as $100 billion, depending on how they do it. They can do that for as low as $100 billion. Okay. At $2 trillion or $2.5 trillion, that would be less than 5% of the package, or even as low as 4% of the package, depending on how much it would be. They could totally do that. Okay. They could totally do that. We're talking less than 4% of the package, depending on how much the size of the package is. There's also going to be an adult tax credit in there. Again, we'll have to see how this all works out in there. That's expected to be for adults making under $50,000. Okay. We'll have to see how that works out. I'll give you all the details once we get the bill and it passes and all that good stuff. Lower prescription drug prices, it's going to be a very big thing in there as well. Um, Anybody that takes prescription drugs, well, you could be seeing a significant amount of savings here. And again, if you take prescriptions month after month after month, well, you could be seeing a monthly savings go forward here month after month, year after year. Lower taxes for people under $400,000 and an increase of taxes for people making over $400,000 and for corporations making over $1 million, which is the bulk of how they're going to pay for this package. I don't think there's going to be any doubt that this package will be fully paid for, especially in the $2 trillion range. They were expecting to pay for this package fully at $3.5 trillion. There was a little bit of doubt there, but now that the package is going to be somewhere in the $2 trillion range, 2.5 trillion, 2 point something trillion, I think that they're going to be able to fully pay for the package. We'll have to see. Paid family and medical leave expected to be in there. We'll have to get all the details on that. 2 years of free community college. This is a huge thing for our country going forward because it presents a free college option because college is insanely expensive. I mean, we're talking $25,000 to $50,000 a year to go to some colleges, and this at least offers the option of 2 years of free community college. I think that later on down the road, they're going to expand this to 4 years of community college, and they're also going to try to expand this later on down the road to state colleges and stuff like that as well. Just like they passed the child tax credits for just 1 year with the third stimulus check package, and now they're looking to expand it for more years. I think that they're probably going to do that later on with community college for more years and other types of college later on down the road, as well as student loan forgiveness. I expect to come later on this year. It's not going to be in this bill, but I expect that to come later on this year. Social Security raises, I'm not sure if that's going to be in this bill or will come on later on this year. We're also expecting a 6% cost of living adjustment coming on in October, which will be the largest cost of living adjustment in over 30 years. I just did a very big video on that, which I will link you to at the end of this video with a lot of information on this. So as you can see here, there's a lot of different things in this package. There's also a potential $1,000 Medicare stimulus debit card that Senator Bernie Sanders wants to throw in there for seniors. Haven't heard anything on that in the last few days. That's because the bill's in the House, and really the debt limit ceiling is kind of the big crisis that they have to pass, or else the government is going to default. So, like, I think the air is going to clear a little bit here when they pass that, if they pass that. But Senator Bernie Sanders wants to throw that in for seniors. It's kind of like a stimulus check, but it's for Medicare benefits. But they honestly could switch that over to just being a stimulus check or a stimulus check for everybody. Who knows what they're going to end up doing? They always seem to throw in some stimulus items at the very last moment, or at least they did with stimulus package number 2, which is when they actually put the stimulus check in there. Remember that stimulus check number 2 was actually added in at the very last moment, 6 days before they passed the bill. They actually wrote the stimulus check bill without a stimulus check in there, and people demanded that they be added in there. And they took away $160 billion from states, cities, and counties and gave them nothing, and gave that money to you guys or to us in the form of the second stimulus check. And in the third stimulus check package, they added in that $10,200 unemployment tax-free provision, which actually may have been credited to Senator Joe Manchin in regards to last-minute stimulus provisions. So, literally on the last day, the House passed the bill, which didn't include that, and the Senate had to take Senator Joe Manchin off the floor during the voting process, take him in a room. I can't make this stuff up. And it actually went down in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest voting process ever. They negotiated with him over 8 hours while voting was going on. They literally just paused it in the middle of voting, negotiating with him over 8 hours. That's when they lowered the income thresholds for the third stimulus check from $100,000 down to $80,000 was the final cutoff for single filers. Not single filer head of household, but regular single filers. But they added in that $10,200 unemployment tax-free provision, which actually gave an extra check to anybody that had unemployment benefits last year. So a lot of give and take being added in at the very last moment. They seem to always add in extra little benefits, um, even at the very last moment. That was actually after the House had already passed the bill. So even after one side passes a bill, they can still add in stimulus checks. In this case, if you got an unemployment tax-free check, um, that was after the House had already passed the bill. So don't sing kumbaya literally until after the House and the Senate signs the bill, and even the president signs the bill. So I'll keep you up to date with everything. The Senate is going to vote on the debt limit ceiling today. And this all could be over today if the Republicans agree. And honestly, they might demand something and the Democrats might give it to them. Who knows? I'll keep you up to date. Don't miss any videos at this point. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this video to see how Senator Kirsten Sinema got ambushed in the bathroom. Watch that if you haven't yet. And this video is about Social Security raises coming up. So yeah, click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.